And joining me now is Congresswoman Cammack, the great Republican from Florida. Congresswoman, good to have you with us. I'm just curious, did you ask your staff to list 5 things they did on the job last week?
Actually, it's so funny, Todd. We were just talking about that this morning. And I said, you know what? I don't work for the President of the United States, but I do work for the people of Florida's 3rd Congressional District. And so we are actually in the process right now of giving our 5+ things, because there's so much that we couldn't just limit it to 5 of all the things that our team accomplished for our constituents last week, which, again, if there's one thing that all Americans can agree upon, it's that we need accountability. We need transparency. Why is this controversial? I have no idea. But I really hope that the left leans into this and fights it all the way, because they're really, really doing a great job convincing those holdouts that they were never in it for the American people. They just don't want to be caught red-handed with their hand in the cookie jar.
You know, the hubris of federal workers saying they don't have time to put together an email response to Elon Musk. At the same time, they've got plenty of time to go on CNN to voice their complaints against what this administration is doing. And I'm wondering what you're hearing. What is the scuttlebutt there in Washington about the bloated government?
Well, I call it what's happening right now, EDS, Elon derangement syndrome. And it's really hitting a fever pitch, because it doesn't matter where we find excessive waste, fraud, and abuse. Collectively, I think common sense would say, yeah, we probably shouldn't be spending money on this. Oh, that's something we could probably get rid of. Instead, if it has Trump or Elon's name on it, they are going to rage against it. They will do everything they can to protect it, despite it having a track record of failure. And look no further than the Department of Education, for example. We've had scores collectively across the board nationally declining for decades, and yet they want to pump more money into a broken system. It makes no sense. But with all these cuts, we have a role in Congress to codify this. It's great that they're finding this. Now we have to take action and make sure this is a long-term fix, both in the cuts, but more importantly in the regulatory regime. That's why the REINS Act is the most important thing that Congress can take action on today and make sure that it gets to the president's desk.
And this is your legislation, and you call it the ultimate swamp drainer. What do you mean by that?
Well, when you think about it, the REINS Act, it's a very simple bill. All major rules and regulations should be approved by Congress, the people's representatives, before they go into effect. Right now, it's the opposite of that. They go into effect, they destroy entire industries and companies, and they have a great impact on our everyday lives to the tune of $2 trillion a year is what we as taxpayers spend in enforcement and compliance on these regulations. So not only is it a great cost savings, that $2 trillion that we would save, but it puts the power back in the people's hands and out of those unelected, nameless, faceless bureaucrats in Washington. Everyone talks about draining the swamp, but it's so much more than just cutting a one-time cut or cost savings. It's about making permanent change, restoring that Article 1 authority, and empowering the people. This is the people's house. Let's make sure that their voice is heard at all levels, and this is the way to do it. Contact your representative. Tell them to support the REINS Act.
I know this is a conversation that's being had in our live chat on Newsmax right now by our viewers, and they're wondering, okay, so you guys are exposing all of this waste and corruption and grift, which is great, but ultimately, whose responsibility is it to make sure that that doesn't happen again? Is there a role that Congress plays in that?
Absolutely, of course. I mean, we have a constitutional oversight requirement that we are checking to see that money is being spent as it is allocated. But Congress, for decades, has forgotten what it's like to operate in what's called regular order. I was born in 1988, Todd, and we have not been in regular order since 1986. And what I mean by that is going through the 12 appropriations going through line by line, program by program, authorizing these committees, authorizing the programs, the agencies. We have agencies that we've been funding under continuing resolutions that were created by an executive order. The EPA was never officially authorized by Congress. That's just one example where we have completely abdicated our role in Congress as having control of the purse strings. And so we have a responsibility to take that control back, do a budget, pass our appropriations, get back into regular order, but then subsequently follow up and make sure that we're doing our oversight. And with oversight, there should be consequences. If you're not sticking to your mission and you've got mission creep, spending money on things that you shouldn't, then your funds will be withheld or they should be fenced. That's the oversight that I think all Americans are really hungry for, that we have an opportunity under President Trump and a Republican Congress to actually deliver on.
All right, good stuff. Congresswoman Cammack, great having you on Newsmax. Thank you.
Always good to see you. Have a good one.